This king of Mali is the epitome of Drake's popularized idea, starting from the bottom. I mean, you can't get any lower than a slave. What up, African world? It's your boy Home Team here. I'm back at another video of African history, culture, and worldview. And today we're going to talk about the Mali Empire and the king who started from the bottom, Monza Sakura. Now, before we talk about him, I got to give a little background into the Mali Empire in general. The Mali Empire wasn't only one of the greatest empires in African history, but world history. Their city of Timbuktu was a center of learning and trade for most of the world. Built and maintained by Mande-style architecture, today it's recognized as a World Heritage Site. And let's not forget the Mali city of Jenny, who was a rival to Timbuktu with their terracotta figures and their grand mosques. What's even more impressive about the Mali Empire is that it was literally documented to have sailed the Atlantic Ocean in the 14th century. And the wealthiest man in world history was Mansa Musa, who literally devastated the economies of Egypt and the Mediterranean because he brought in so much gold on his trip to Mecca. I say all this to say that the Mali Empire was a peaceful and highly successful empire in West Africa. Yet we know so little of the king who actually advanced its territory and influence, Monza Sakura. Monza Sakura is probably the most underrated king in all of Mali, mostly because he's overshadowed by Sundiata Keita and Mansa Musa, but everybody likes an underdog, so here goes his story. Sundiata Keita, the founder of the Mali Empire, established the Korokan Foga after the Battle of Karina. The Korokan Foga, or Division of the World, was the constitution of the Mali Empire. In this constitution, Sundiata regulated the humane treatment of slaves. Article 20 of the Korokan Foga states, "Do not ill-treat the slaves. We are the master of the slave, but not the bag he carries." So according to the Korokan Foga, the Mandinka were not allowed to dehumanize their slaves. But more importantly, it seems as though that they weren't allowed to even regulate a slave's ambition or upward mobility. Now this is where Monza Sakura comes in. Sakura was a young slave court boy in the palace of Sundiata. Now I guess it could have been worse. He could have been a slave of some random dude in the Mali Empire, but I digress. It still aligns itself with the Drake philosophy of starting from the bottom. Anyway, Sundiata apparently followed his own idea regulated in the Korokan Foga. It's clear that he saw the ambition of Sakura and he freed him. But here's where it goes south for Sakura and basically everybody in Mali. Sundiata Keita had a tradition of taking the princes of rebellious kingdoms and raising them in Mali. So pretty much when Sundiata Keita's son died, these princes of these other provinces laid claim to the Mali throne and raised complete hell within the Mali Empire, starting a brutal civil war. Once the war was over, these two kings eventually ended up ruling Mali one after the other, and they were completely incompetent, but that's another story for another day. So these two kings literally ruined and deteriorated the life of Sakura and Mali in general. So the Gabara, or the deliberative body of the Mali Empire, chose Manding Bori to rule Mali. Now Manding Bori was actually the brother of Sundiata, but by this time he was pretty old. So Sakura, who is kind of like a court prince and served as a general within Mali, was just like, bruh, I'm not about to go through this hell again. Nah, I'm just playing, he didn't say that. But he was probably thinking it because he actually usurped the throne in 1285 and became the next Monza of the Mali Empire. When Monza Sakura became king, Mali began to take on many of the characteristics we see of it today. Monza Sakura added the first conquest to Mali since the reign of Sundiata Keita's son, including the former Ghana Empire, provinces of Takura and Diara. His conquest did not stop at the boundaries of Ghana, however. He campaigned into Senegal and conquered the Wolof provinces of Dayolof. Then he took his army east to subjugate the copper-producing area of Takeda. He also conquered Messina and raided into Gao to suppress its first rebellion against Mali. Now many people hear about the city of Gao and think, oh, it's just another city in the Empire of Mali. No, Gao was probably one of the most rebellious cities within the Mali Empire, because it was occupied by the Songhai people, the same people who completely destroyed Mali in the end. Even to this day, Mali still struggles to hold on to Gao as it continues to be rebellious. In fact, later kings of Mali like Mansa Musa began to raise the princes of Gao so as to keep their parents royal to the Mali throne. However, Songhai princes frequently rebelled and ran away. So when Sakura subjugated Gao, it was a huge step in the development of the Mali Empire and the Mandinka people. More than just a mere warrior, Monza Sakura was a pious man. He went to the Hajj to Mecca during the reign of al-Nasir Muhammad. Monza Sakura also opened direct trade negotiations with Tripoli and Morocco. With Monza Sakura on the throne, Mali again had a powerful ruler and reached a new climax after its first glory under Sanjata. During his powerful government, their dominions expanded and they overcame the neighboring people like the Fulani, the Tuareg, the Soninka, and especially the Songhai. Their authority became mighty and all the nations of the Sudan stood in awe of them. Merchants from North Africa frequently traveled to their country. Now in the tradition of powerful kings of Mali whose power was secured, Monza Sakura took a Hajj to Mecca. He visited Cairo perhaps sometime after 1298. Unfortunately, here's where Monza Sakura's story comes to an end. On his way back from the Hajj, traversing through present-day Djibouti, he was attacked and killed by Ethiopian nomads attempting to rob him. Monza Sakura's attendants rushed his body through Sudan and Chad and reached the Kanem-Bornu Empire. Now the Kanemba were Muslims themselves, so they probably sympathized with the Mandinka of Mali. So the Kanem-Bornu Empire sent an emissary to the Mali Empire, telling them of the bad news. When Monza Sakura's body reached Niani, the capital of Mali, he was given a regal burial. Monza Sakura is probably hands down the most underrated king in all of Mali. From his humble beginnings all the way to his warrior king regalness. He literally set the foundation for the world-renowned king Mansa Musa. And even though he started from the bottom, he will now forever remain right here. It's your boy Home Team. Support the Home Team on Patreon to gain full access to full-blown African history videos. And also don't forget, know thyself. Remember your ancestors. Peace.
Much is too bright.